Get in the car, I'll take you.
She got into the wrong car on the worst day of her life, not expecting the mafia boss to be the driver, and by a twist of fate, he decided to take on the role for a bit of fun. What happens next leaves them both shocked.
Welcome to my library. I'm Lena, and our story is just beginning.
The car is nicer than anything I've ever been in. That's my first thought when I collapse into the back seat and close my eyes against the headache that's been building since my boss fired me 3 hours ago in front of the entire office. Black leather. That new car smell mixed with something expensive I can't identify. The kind of vehicle that costs more than I'll make in 5 years, assuming I ever get another job, which seems unlikely, given that I just got escorted out of a building by security while carrying a box of my pathetic desk belongings. I don't even look at the driver, just slump against the seat and let out a breath that sounds more like a whimper than I intended. Please, just take me home. I've already lost everything today. My voice comes out shaky, exhausted. I'm not even sure this is the right car service, but I'm too tired to care. The universe owes me one easy thing after the day I've had, and getting home without additional disaster feels like a reasonable request. Lost everything today? That sounds dramatic. Tell me about it. The voice from the front seat is wrong. Deep. Amused. Nothing like the bored professional tone I expected from a driver who's heard every sob story from drunk passengers. I open my eyes, look at the rearview mirror, meet dark eyes that are way too interested for someone being paid to shuttle strangers around Los Angeles. He's gorgeous. That's unfortunate. The last thing I need right now is to be aware that the man driving me home looks like he walked out of an expensive cologne ad. Sharp features, dark hair that's slightly too long to be professional. The kind of face that probably gets him anything he wants without trying. Dramatic. I got fired. My boyfriend was sleeping with my coworker, and I just found out my landlord is selling the building, so I have 30 days to find a new apartment I definitely can't afford. So yeah, lost everything. I don't know why I'm telling him this. Blame exhaustion. Blame the fact that confessing disasters to a stranger feels safer than calling my sister and hearing "I told you so" in 15 different variations. Cheating boyfriend. Incompetent boss. Greedy landlord. He says it like he's making a mental list. At least the driver is interesting though, right? The audacity makes me laugh despite everything. Interesting. You're literally a driver. No offense. I'm sure it's honest work. But interesting is not the word I'd use. Maybe you're using the wrong scale for interesting. His eyes find mine in the mirror again. Hold longer than necessary. Tell me about the boyfriend. How long did it take you to figure out he was trash? Excuse me? The cheating. You sound more angry about the job than the boyfriend, which means either you didn't love him or you already knew he wasn't worth keeping. The observation is too accurate to be comfortable. I shift in my seat, cross my arms defensively. You're very opinionated for someone I'm paying to drive me home. You're not paying me. You got in the wrong car. My stomach drops. I look around with fresh panic. The interior is definitely too nice for a standard car service. There's no company sticker, no meter running, no little screen showing my route and driver rating, just expensive leather and the kind of quiet that comes with serious money. Oh my God, I'm being kidnapped. This is how I die. Fired, dumped, and murdered by a hot driver who's probably a serial killer. His laugh is warm, genuine. Relax. I'm not a serial killer, just someone who was parked outside your building when you threw yourself into my car like you were escaping a war zone. I was escaping a war zone. My entire life just collapsed in the span of 8 hours. Then maybe you needed a different destination anyway. He pulls away from the curb smoothly, expertly. Where were you actually trying to go? I should demand he let me out. Should be more concerned about being in a stranger's car. But there's something about his voice, the way he speaks with subtle authority that doesn't feel threatening, despite how completely out of my depth I am right now. The casual confidence that suggests he's used to people doing what he wants without question. Home, apartment in Silver Lake, small, depressing, soon to be non-existent when my landlord kicks me out next month. Silver Lake, okay. But first, you mentioned something earlier about wanting to see the city and think about life from somewhere high and quiet. I didn't say that. You thought it very loud. I could practically hear it from the front seat. That's not how thinking works, isn't it? You got in my car, collapsed dramatically, and now you're letting a stranger drive you around Los Angeles instead of demanding I take you directly home. I think you wanted an escape more than you wanted your depressing apartment. He's not wrong. I hate that he's not wrong. The fact that a complete stranger just read me perfectly within 5 minutes of meeting is either impressive or deeply unsettling. Fine. Maybe I don't want to go home and sit alone thinking about how I have no job, no boyfriend, and no apartment. Maybe I do want to see the city from somewhere that makes all of this feel smaller. Then I know exactly where to take you. That sounds like something a serial killer would say right before the murder. Or something someone says when they actually know a place most people never see. Your choice. Trust me. or demand I take you home to be miserable alone. The challenge in his voice makes something reckless unfurl in my chest. Today has been terrible. Tomorrow will probably be worse when the reality of unemployment and homelessness actually sinks in. But right now, sitting in this expensive car with a stranger who's too attractive and too interested, I feel like maybe making one bad decision that's actually fun might be exactly what I need. Okay, show me this mysterious place. But if you murder me, I'm haunting you forever. Deal. Though I should warn you, I don't scare easily. Even from ghosts. He drives with the kind of easy competence that suggests he's very comfortable behind the wheel of expensive vehicles. We move through Los Angeles traffic like water finding paths around obstacles. He doesn't ask his GPS for directions, doesn't hesitate at turns, just navigates with the confidence of someone who knows this city intimately. I should be watching where we're going, making mental notes about how to escape if this goes bad. Instead, I'm watching him in the rearview mirror, the way his hands move on the steering wheel with casual grace, the slight smile that suggests he knows exactly what I'm thinking and finds it amusing. You're staring. I'm monitoring my potential kidnapper for signs of dangerous behavior. And, am I dangerous? Yes. Every instinct I have is screaming yes, but not in the way that makes me want to run, in the way that makes me want to know what happens if I stay. My jury's still out. Ask me again when we get to this secret location that definitely isn't a murder spot. It's not a murder spot. It's a thinking spot. Very different energy. You come here often? Bring all your accidental passengers to see the city? You're the first person I've brought here who wasn't family. The admission shifts something. Makes this feel more significant than a stranger being kind to someone having a terrible day. I should probably ask more questions. Should definitely be more concerned about the family comment that suggests wealth and connections I can't begin to understand. Instead, I just settle back into the leather seat and watch Los Angeles slide past the windows. We're climbing now, leaving the flatlands behind. The houses get bigger, more spaced out, more expensive with every mile. He turns onto a private road, pulls through a gate that opens automatically like it was expecting him, parks at a viewpoint I've never seen in any guidebook or Instagram post. We're here. I get out slowly. The view steals my breath. Los Angeles stretched infinite below us. Lights everywhere. Beautiful and chaotic and overwhelming in ways that make my problems feel smaller, just like he promised. The Hollywood sign is visible in the distance. Downtown skyline glittering. The ocean. A dark line at the edge of everything. How did you find this place? I didn't find it. I own it. The property. The view. All of it. I turned to look at him properly for the first time since getting in the car. He's leaning against the hood of what I now realize is probably a car that costs more than my entire year's salary. Tall, well-dressed in casual clothes that somehow look expensive. Dark jeans, black shirt. Watch that catches the light with the kind of gleam that suggests serious money, and watching me with interest that makes my skin feel too warm despite the cool night air. You own a viewpoint over Los Angeles? Among other things, but this is my favorite. And you brought me here because you looked like you needed to see that your disaster isn't the whole world, just a small part of something much bigger. The kindness in his voice makes my throat tight. I turn back to the view so he can't see my face do something embarrassing like cry. I don't even know your name. Julian. Let me guess. You're the girl who had the worst day of her life and decided to trust a stranger instead of going home to be miserable alone. I was going to say Elisa, but your version works too. His laugh is warm, reaches his eyes in ways that make him look younger than the controlled version I've been watching. Elisa. Okay. Want to tell me about this terrible day while we look at the city that's too big to care about our problems? I should say no. Should demand he take me home now that we're at this isolated location with no witnesses and nothing but expensive real estate as far as I can see. Instead, I find myself sitting on the hood of his car, feeling the warmth of the engine beneath me, talking, telling this stranger named Julian about my boss who fired me for a mistake that wasn't mine, about my boyfriend who I caught in bed with my coworker this morning when I went home sick, about my landlord's eviction notice that was waiting in my mailbox, about my sister's disappointment and my parents' concern, and every small disaster that led to me collapsing into the wrong car. He listens, really listens, not just waiting for his turn to talk, but actually paying attention, asks questions that prove he's tracking every detail, makes observations that are too insightful for someone who just met me, and somewhere between the third story and the fourth, I realize I feel safer with this stranger than I've felt with anyone in months. That should probably scare me. Instead, it just makes me want to stay longer.
She got into the wrong car. He didn't correct her. He took her to his private viewpoint. Red flag? Maybe. If this happened in real life, a disaster. But here, is it romantic? Absolutely.
Chapter 2. First impact. He decides to take her. We sit on the hood of his car for what feels like hours, but is probably only 40 minutes. Julian doesn't try to fix my problems, doesn't offer empty reassurances about how everything will work out, or how I'm better off without my cheating boyfriend. He just listens, asks the occasional question that makes me think harder about my own answers, and somehow, that feels more valuable than any advice could be. So your boss fired you for someone else's mistake, and your boyfriend cheated with the same coworker who made that mistake. That's impressively efficient disaster coordination. The way he phrases it makes me laugh despite the situation being objectively terrible. Right, if they're going to ruin my life, at least they had the courtesy to do it all at once instead of dragging it out. Silver lining thinking. I like that. He shifts slightly. Our shoulders are almost touching now. Not quite, but close enough that I'm aware of the heat of him. What did you do? Before getting fired for someone else's incompetence, marketing coordinator, boring corporate job, decent pay, soul-crushing meetings about brand synergy and consumer engagement metrics. I pick at a loose thread on my jeans. I was actually good at it, which makes getting fired for something I didn't do even more frustrating. What would you do if money wasn't an issue? If you could pick anything? The question catches me off guard. Nobody's asked me that in years. Not since college when everything felt possible instead of just practical. Photography. I wanted to be a photographer. Travel. Capture moments that matter. Tell stories through images instead of PowerPoint presentations about quarterly targets. Why didn't you? Because photography doesn't pay rent. Because my parents spent their retirement savings sending me to business school. Because being practical felt more important than being happy. The admission tastes bitter. I've been telling myself the marketing job was fine for so long that saying out loud it was never what I wanted feels like betraying some agreement I made with my younger self about being realistic. That's depressing. Welcome to adulthood, where dreams go to die and we pretend we're fine with it. I don't accept that. Julian's voice carries certainty that makes me look at him. Really look. He's watching the city below with expression that suggests he's thinking about something more than just my career crisis. Life's too short to spend it doing things that make you miserable just because they're practical. Easy to say when you apparently own hillside property with million-dollar views. It wasn't always easy. He turns to face me. The city lights behind him make it hard to see his expression clearly, but I can feel the intensity of his focus. I spent years doing things I hated to get where I am. The difference is, I knew it was temporary, a means to an end. You sound like you convinced yourself the means was the end. Wow. Philosophical wisdom from my accidental kidnapper. This night just keeps getting better. I prefer accidental chauffeur. If we're choosing titles, chauffeurs get paid. You're doing this for free, which makes you either very kind or very bored, or very interested. The words hang between us, loaded with implication. I'm not sure how to process. Before I can respond, he's moving, sliding off the hood, offering his hand. Come on, I want to show you something. I take his hand, because refusing feels impossible when he's looking at me like I'm something worth his time, instead of just a disaster he found crying in his car. His palm is warm, slightly rough. The kind of hand that's done real work despite the expensive watch and private viewpoint. He leads me toward the edge of the overlook, points toward downtown. See that building? The tall one with the blue lights? Yeah, I bought that when I was 25. Everyone told me I was insane, that I was overextending, that I'd lose everything. His hand is still holding mine. I'm trying very hard not to think about that fact. They were right that it was risky, wrong that it would destroy me. Sometimes the practical choice is actually the coward's choice dressed up as wisdom. So what? I should just quit my job and become a photographer with no money and no prospects and hope it works out through sheer optimism. You already quit your job. You just didn't get to make it a choice. He squeezes my hand gently. And I'm not saying abandon all logic. I'm saying maybe getting fired is the universe giving you permission to try something else. The universe has terrible timing. I have 30 days before I'm homeless. 30 days is longer than you think. A lot can change in 30 days. The way he says it makes me think he's not just talking about apartment hunting. I'm suddenly very aware that we're alone on a hillside in the dark, that this man is a complete stranger, that his hand is still holding mine, and I haven't pulled away. I should probably get home. It's late, and I have to start job hunting tomorrow before my unemployment runs out. Or you could stay a little longer. I brought food. You brought food? To your car? Who does that? Someone who had a lunch meeting that ran late and didn't have time to eat before getting ambushed by a woman in crisis throwing herself into his vehicle. He opens the back door, pulls out a bag from some restaurant I don't recognize but can tell is expensive from the packaging alone. Inside are containers of food that smell incredible. My stomach reminds me I haven't eaten since breakfast, which feels like a lifetime ago. This is weird, right? Sitting on a stranger's car, eating his leftover fancy lunch while having a breakdown about my life? Extremely weird. He hands me a container and a fork. Also possibly the most honest conversation I've had with anyone in months. So maybe weird is exactly what we both needed tonight. The food is some kind of pasta with truffle oil and vegetables I can't identify. It tastes like it costs more than I used to spend on groceries in a week. We eat in comfortable silence while the city glitters below us. Wind picks up. I shiver slightly. Before I can even register the cold, Julian is shrugging out of his jacket and draping it over my shoulders. I'm fine. You don't have to. You're shivering. I have a jacket. Basic problem solving. The jacket smells like him. Something clean and expensive with underneath notes of warmth that make me want to bury my face in the collar like a creep. I resist that urge, barely. Thank you for the jacket and the food. And not murdering me when I invaded your car uninvited. The night's still young. Don't rule out murder yet. Dark humor. I like that in my potential killers. His smile is devastating. The kind that probably gets him anything he wants from anyone with eyes. Tell me about the photography. What kind of images would you take if you could take anything? The question opens something in my chest. I start talking about light and composition and the way moments feel different through a lens. About the series I wanted to do on resilience. People who survived impossible things and came out stronger. He asks questions that prove he's actually listening. Challenges, assumptions I've made about what's possible or practical. Somewhere in the middle of explaining my favorite photographer's work, I realize I'm gesturing wildly with my fork. That I'm animated in ways I haven't been in months. That talking to Julian feels easy in ways talking to my boyfriend never did. Sorry. I'm rambling. You probably don't care about any of this. I asked because I wanted to know. And you're not rambling. You're passionate. There's a difference. He sets down his empty container, looks at me with expression that makes breathing difficult. You should do it. The photography. Find a way to make it work. Just like that. Throw away years of business school and corporate experience to chase a dream that probably won't pay my rent. Not just like that. Strategically. Deliberately. But yes. He shifts closer. We're definitely in each other's space now. What's the worst that could happen? I fail completely. End up broke and homeless and prove everyone right about creative careers being impractical. And what's the best that could happen? I succeed. Build something meaningful. Spend my life doing work that actually matters to me instead of counting down to retirement. So worst case, you're temporarily broke, which you're about to be anyway without the fired job. Best case, you actually become happy. Seems like the risk is worth it. The logic is simultaneously terrifying and compelling. I'm trying to formulate an argument about why it's more complicated than that, when I notice how close we're sitting, how his eyes are darker in the limited light, how if I leaned forward just slightly, our faces would be close enough to. I pull back, stand up abruptly. The jacket falls off my shoulders. I really should get home. It's late and this has been a lot. Julian stands too, slower, more controlled, like he's giving me space to panic without making it weird. Of course, let me take you home. You don't have to. I can call a car, a real one this time. Elisa, the way he says my name makes me look at him. I brought you here. I'm taking you home. That's not negotiable. The authority in his voice should probably irritate me. Instead, it just makes me feel safe in ways I can't explain. I nod. Let him open the car door for me like I'm someone worth that kind of attention. Settle into the back seat that feels different now that I know this whole night was never about a car service. The drive back down the hillside is quieter. He doesn't try to fill the silence with small talk, just navigates through late-night Los Angeles traffic while I process everything that just happened. When we pull up to my apartment building with its peeling paint and broken security gate, the contrast between his world and mine feels almost violent. This is me, the glamorous life you've been hearing about. He looks at the building without judgment, just assessment. It's temporary. Everything's temporary when you're broke and unemployed. I meant the situation, not the building. He turns in his seat, looks at me through the divider. Take the photography seriously. Give yourself permission to try. That's easy advice to give when you're successful and stable. It's hard advice to take regardless of circumstances. That's what makes it worth doing. I'm gathering my pathetic box of desk belongings when he speaks again. Can I see you again? Officially, without the accidental kidnapping element, my heart does something complicated. Why would you want to see me again? I'm a disaster. I cried on your expensive car and ate your fancy lunch and monopolized your entire evening with my problems. Because talking to you was the most interesting part of my week. Because you're funny and smart and honest in ways people in my world rarely are. Because I'd like to know what happens next in your story. The sincerity in his voice makes my throat tight. I don't even have your number. He pulls out his phone. Give me yours. I'll text you. I recite my number, trying not to think about how surreal this is. Successful, gorgeous stranger who owns hillside property wants to see me again despite witnessing me at my absolute worst. My phone buzzes immediately. A text from an unknown number. This is Julian, the accidental chauffeur. Text me when you get inside so I know you made it safely. You're going to wait, out here, until I know you're safe. Yes, that's very controlling, overprotective, slightly creepy. I was going to say sweet, but those work too. His smile is softer this time. Go, text me from inside. We'll talk tomorrow about whether you're going to let me take you to dinner properly. I'm halfway to the building when I turn back. He's still watching, still waiting. Julian. Yeah, thank you. For tonight, for listening, for not being a serial killer. The night's still young. I'm laughing as I push through the broken security door, climb 3 flights of stairs that smell vaguely like garbage and regret, unlock my apartment that looks even more depressing than usual after seeing his viewpoint. but somehow I feel lighter than I have in months. My phone buzzes before I can even set down my box. Inside, yes, safe and sound in my temporary disaster zone. Good. Sleep well, Elisa. Tomorrow starts looking different when you give it permission to. I fall asleep still wearing his jacket that I definitely forgot to return, and for the first time in months, I dream about something other than spreadsheets and quarterly targets. Chapter 3. The Improvised Connection.
6 a.m. with coffee he made exactly the way she likes it, without her ever saying a word. A man who pays attention like that should come with a danger warning.
Chapter 3. The Improvised Connection. I wake up at 6 in the morning to my phone buzzing. For a disoriented second, I think it's my alarm for work before remembering I don't have work anymore. Then I see the name on the screen, and my stomach does something complicated. Julian, the stranger who wasn't a driver. The man with the viewpoint and the expensive car, and the jacket I'm currently still wearing because I fell asleep in it like some kind of pathetic teenager with a crush. Good morning. Question. Are you a breakfast person or a coffee-only person? This is important information for planning purposes. I stare at the message trying to decode whether he's actually asking about breakfast preferences or if this is some kind of rich person code I don't understand. My fingers hover over the keyboard debating how to respond when another message comes through. I'm asking because I'm outside your building with coffee and pastries, but if you're not a breakfast person, I'll feel like a creep who showed up uninvited at 6 in the morning. I scramble out of bed so fast I nearly trip over the box of my desk belongings that's still sitting where I dropped it last night. Look out my window. There's a different car than yesterday parked at the curb. Still expensive. Still very obviously not something that belongs in this neighborhood. And leaning against it with 2 coffee cups and a bakery bag is Julian, looking completely at ease, despite the fact that he's currently standing in front of a building where someone definitely tried to steal my bike last month. I grab my phone. Type quickly before I can overthink this. You showed up at 6 in the morning with coffee and food. That's either very romantic or very serial killer behavior. Give me 5 minutes to decide which. His response is immediate. Take your time. I'll be here trying not to get mugged for these croissants. I throw on actual clothes instead of the work outfit I fell asleep in. Attempt something with my hair that doesn't scream, I just woke up. Brush my teeth twice, because coffee breath feels like a bad choice when a gorgeous man showed up uninvited at my door. I'm halfway down the stairs when I realize I'm still wearing his jacket from last night and turn back to grab it, except then I'd be bringing it down, which implies I'm giving it back, which implies this isn't continuing, and my brain is moving too fast for this early in the morning. I leave the jacket, make a mental note to return it later. Emerge from the building trying to look like women show up to unexpected breakfast invitations looking effortlessly beautiful all the time. Julian's smile when he sees me suggests I did not achieve effortless beauty. You look like you just woke up, because I just woke up. Some creep showed up outside my building at 6 in the morning and texted me about breakfast. Some creep brought you coffee and almond croissants from the best bakery in Los Angeles. Show some gratitude. He hands me a cup. Our fingers brush. I pretend not to notice the small electric shock of contact. The coffee is perfect. Exactly the right amount of cream and sugar despite the fact that I never told him how I take it. I look at him suspiciously. How did you know? Know what? How I take my coffee? I didn't tell you. You told me everything about your life last night for 40 minutes. I pay attention to details. You mentioned your terrible boss never remembered how you take your coffee despite working together for 3 years. When you said it, I noticed you sounded more hurt about that than about getting fired. People who care about their coffee order being remembered are usually specific about proportions. The observation is too accurate. I take another sip, trying not to show how much it affects me that he was paying that much attention. Lucky guess. Educated deduction. There's a difference. He opens the bakery bag. The smell of fresh pastries makes my stomach remind me I barely ate yesterday. I also brought you chocolate croissants because you mentioned your sister always stole yours when you were kids, which suggested they're your favorite even though you claim to prefer almond. You remember my sister stealing my croissants from a throwaway comment I made last night? I remember everything you said last night. Is that weird? That feels weird when I say it out loud. It's weird. I take the chocolate croissant he's offering, bite into it. It's still warm, flaky, probably the best thing I've eaten in months. Also kind of sweet in a slightly obsessive way. I prefer attentive to obsessive, but I'll take sweet. He leans against his car, watches me eat with expression that makes me self-conscious about having pastry flakes on my face. So, I have a proposition. At 6 in the morning, this should be good. Spend the day with me. No agenda. No plans. Just see where it goes. I stop mid-bite. You want to spend an entire day with me? The unemployed disaster you met yesterday? I want to spend a day with Elisa, who talked about photography like it was poetry, and laughed at her own terrible situation, and trusted a stranger enough to share her worst day. The unemployed part is just current circumstances, not identity. The distinction makes my chest warm. I should be job hunting, updating my resume, being responsible about my complete life collapse. You should, tomorrow. Today you should take 1 day to breathe before diving into the practical nightmare of rebuilding. He tilts his head, studies me. Unless you'd rather spend it alone in your apartment being miserable? When you put it that way, it sounds depressing. Because it is depressing. So say yes. Spend the day with me. Worst case, you get free meals and good conversation. Best case, you actually enjoy yourself. I should say no. Should be sensible about not spending entire days with men I just met, regardless of how attractive and interesting they are. Should definitely not be considering abandoning all responsibility to hang out with someone who might still be a very elaborate serial killer. Okay, yes. But I need to go back upstairs and change into something that doesn't look like I slept in it. You look fine. I look like I got hit by a truck full of unemployment and bad decisions. Give me 15 minutes. Take 20. I'll be here. I'm back upstairs, rifling through my closet, trying to find something that looks casual, but also like I didn't try too hard when my phone buzzes again. Bring comfortable shoes. We're going to walk. How much walking are we talking about? Like a gentle stroll or a forced march? Somewhere between those, trust me. I end up in jeans and a soft sweater that's nice enough to feel put together but comfortable enough for mysterious walking plans. Sneakers instead of the cute boots I was considering because blisters feel like a bad choice when spending a day with someone. I'm grabbing my bag when I catch sight of his jacket still hanging where I left it and make an impulsive decision to leave it there. Insurance that I'll see him again to return it. Or maybe just an excuse to keep something that smells like him a little longer. When I get back downstairs, Julian is on his phone. He looks up when he hears me, does a quick assessment that makes me feel seen in ways I'm not used to. Better? Less like someone who just woke up at least. I like the just woke up look. It was honest. He opens the passenger door this time instead of the back. But this works too. I slide into the front seat, feeling the shift in dynamic. Last night I was cargo, a stranger who stumbled into his car. This morning I'm a person he came back for, someone worth a 6 a.m. pastry delivery and a day of mysterious plans. So where are we going? You'll see. Part of the fun is not knowing. I'm not great with surprises. You got in a stranger's car yesterday and ended up on a hillside eating pasta. I think you're better with surprises than you admit. He drives us toward downtown, parks in a structure that probably costs more per hour than I used to make in a day, leads me through streets I recognize but have never really explored, points out details I've never noticed despite living in Los Angeles for 5 years. A mural tucked behind a building, a coffee shop that's been family-owned for 40 years, a bookstore so small I've walked past it 100 times without seeing it. How do you know all this? I pay attention. Most people move through cities without actually seeing them. They follow the same routes, go to the same places, never look up or around or into the spaces between the obvious. And you look into the spaces between the obvious. Always. That's where the interesting things hide. He says it while looking at me instead of the city, and I feel the implication settle warm in my chest. We spend 2 hours just wandering. He buys me coffee from a tiny shop, run by an old man who greets Julian like family, takes me to a gallery showing photographs by an artist I've never heard of but immediately fall in love with, listens while I explain why the composition works and what the photographer is saying about isolation and connection. You should talk to her. Julian nods toward a woman across the gallery. That's the photographer. She's here today for the opening. I can't just walk up to a professional photographer and start talking about her work like I know anything. Why not? You clearly do know something. And she's a person, not some untouchable figure. He's already moving toward her before I can argue. Excuse me. My friend here has some thoughts about your exhibition that I think you'd appreciate hearing. The photographer turns. She's younger than I expected. Friendly. She looks at me with interest that feels genuine instead of polite. Oh, I'd love to hear them. I'm going to kill Julian for putting me on the spot like this. Except then, I'm talking, explaining what I see in her images, the conversation that happens between light and shadow, the way she captures moments just before or after significance instead of during, and she's actually listening, actually engaging, actually treating me like someone whose opinion matters instead of just a random person off the street. 20 minutes later, we're still talking. She's given me her card, told me to send her my portfolio if I have one, mentioned she sometimes needs assistance for shoots. I'm floating when we finally leave the gallery. Did that just happen? Did I just have a conversation with a real photographer who told me to send her my work? You did, because you know what you're talking about and you're passionate about it. Turns out that combination makes people want to listen. Julian looks pleased with himself. See? Universe providing opportunities when you pay attention. You engineered that opportunity by dragging me over there. I created the opening. You did everything else. He checks his phone. It's almost noon. Hungry? After those croissants. I shouldn't be, but somehow yes. Good. I know a place. The place turns out to be a taco truck in a neighborhood I'd normally be nervous about visiting alone. But Julian walks up like he owns the street, orders in rapid Spanish I can barely follow, hands me tacos that taste better than anything I've eaten at restaurants charging 10 times the price. We eat standing up because there are no tables. Just lean against a wall in the sun and consume possibly the best al pastor tacos in existence, while he explains that he found this truck 5 years ago, by accident, and has been coming back ever since. You own buildings downtown, but you eat at taco trucks in sketchy neighborhoods. The quality of food has nothing to do with the price of real estate. Some of the best meals I've had cost less than $5. Some of the worst cost hundreds. He wipes sauce from the corner of his mouth. Money buys access, not taste. Spoken like someone who has enough money that cost stopped being a factor. Fair, but also true, regardless of budget. He's watching me again with that focused attention. What? You have hot sauce on your face. I'm reaching for a napkin when his hand comes up instead, thumb brushing the corner of my mouth with touch that's more intimate than it needs to be for simple sauce removal. His hand lingers. Our eyes meet. The street noise fades into background awareness that doesn't feel as important as this moment where he's close enough that I can see gold flecks in his dark eyes. Better. My voice comes out quieter than intended. Better. But he doesn't step back, just stays there, close. Elisa, yeah? I'm gonna kiss you now unless you tell me not to. My brain is screaming about how this is too fast and he's still essentially a stranger, and I just got out of a relationship yesterday and this is probably a terrible idea. My mouth ignores all of that and says, okay. His kiss is nothing like I expected. Soft, careful, like he's asking a question instead of making a demand. His hand cups my face. I taste hot sauce and possibility. When we break apart, I'm breathing hard, and he's smiling like I just confirmed something he already knew. That was a bad idea. He doesn't sound worried about my answer. Probably, but also really good. I can work with probably and really good. We spend the rest of the afternoon wandering. He takes me to places I've never seen despite living in this city for years, points out details I've never noticed, buys me coffee and treats my opinions like they matter, and makes me laugh in ways I forgot I could. And somewhere between the gallery and the tacos and the kiss against a wall, I stop thinking of him as a stranger and start thinking of him as Julian, someone specific, someone I want to know better. When he finally drives me home, the sun is setting, and I'm exhausted in the best way. Thank you for today, for all of it. Thank you for saying yes, for trusting me with your day. I'm unbuckling my seatbelt when I remember your jacket. I still have it upstairs. Keep it. I'll get it next time. Next time? Tomorrow. I'm taking you to dinner, properly, somewhere nice where we sit down and use actual plates. You're very confident I'm going to say yes, because you are. You want to see where this goes as much as I do. He's not wrong. I hate that he's not wrong. Tomorrow, but somewhere not too fancy. I don't own anything appropriate for expensive restaurants. Wear whatever you want. You'll be the most interesting person there regardless. I'm halfway to my building when I turn back. He's still watching, still waiting to make sure I get inside safely. Julian? Yeah? Today was perfect. His smile could light the entire city. Tomorrow will be better. Chapter 4. The night suspended in time. The restaurant Julian chooses isn't what I expected. Not some pretentious place with white tablecloths and servers who judge your wine knowledge. Instead, it's intimate, warm, the kind of spot that feels like a secret someone trusted you with. Exposed brick walls, soft lighting, a menu that's small enough to suggest everything on it is actually good, instead of trying to be everything to everyone. I'm wearing the nicest dress I own, which still feels inadequate compared to the elegant simplicity of everything around us. But when Julian sees me, his expression makes me forget about comparing myself to ambiance. You look beautiful. You say that like you're surprised. I say it like it's true. There's a difference. He's wearing dark slacks and a shirt that probably costs more than my rent. Looks completely comfortable in a way I'm definitely not. Relax. It's just dinner, not a performance review. Easy for you to say. You probably eat at places like this all the time. I do, which is why I know the food is good, and the staff won't judge you for not knowing which fork to use first. He reaches across the table, takes my hand. Breathe. You're doing fine. His thumb traces patterns on my palm, small circles that shouldn't be as distracting as they are. I'm trying to focus on the menu when he speaks again. Tell me something I don't know about you yet. You know basically everything already. I trauma dumped my entire life story on you the first night we met. You told me about your disasters, not about you. There's a difference. His eyes stay fixed on mine, intent. What's something that makes you happy? Not photography, something else. I think about it while our server brings water and bread. Thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms. The way everything gets quiet right before they start. The smell of rain on hot pavement. The sound of it hitting windows when you're safe inside. Specific. Why thunderstorms? Because they're powerful but temporary. They come in, change everything, make the world feel new, then leave and everything goes back to normal except slightly different. I realize how that sounds and laugh. That was very metaphorical for someone talking about weather. It was honest. I like honest. He's still holding my hand, still drawing those small distracting patterns. I hate thunderstorms. Really? Why? Because I can't control them, can't predict them accurately enough, can't prepare for every variable they might bring. He says it like he's admitting a character flaw. I don't like things I can't control. That must make life difficult. It makes life manageable, controlled, Safe. He pauses, looks at me with expression I can't quite read. Until recently, the implication hangs between us. I'm saved from having to respond by our server returning to take our order. Julian orders for both of us with my permission, chooses things he thinks I'll like based on 2 days of knowing me, and somehow his guesses are perfect because of course they are. The food is incredible. We share plates. He explains the ingredients and preparation with knowledge that suggests he's done more than just eat at nice restaurants. I ask if he cooks. He admits he used to. Before business took over every waking hour and convenience became more important than craft. You should cook again. Life's too short to only do things that are convenient. Using my own advice against me, that's tactical. I learned from the best. You've been giving me advice about living differently since the moment we met, because you needed it. You were sitting in my car having the worst day of your life and accepting it as permanent status instead of temporary setback. And you were driving around Los Angeles picking up strangers and taking them to secret viewpoints because he's quiet for a moment, considering his answer with the same careful attention he gives everything. Because I saw someone who needed help and I had the means to provide it. And because you interested me in ways I didn't expect. Interested you how? You were honest, completely unpracticed. You got into what you thought was a car service and just started talking about your disasters like confessing them to a stranger was safer than keeping them inside. No filter, no performance. Just real human emotion that people in my world rarely show. Your world being the world where you own hillside property and downtown buildings and eat at restaurants that don't list prices on menus. That world, yes, where everyone wants something, and every interaction is a transaction, and genuine connection is rare enough to be valuable. He's watching me with intensity that makes the intimate restaurant feel even smaller. You didn't want anything from me because you didn't know who I was. You just wanted someone to listen. That was refreshing. And now that I know you're clearly successful and wealthy, what if I start wanting things? Then you'd be human. Wanting things isn't the problem. Pretending you don't want them while maneuvering to get them anyway is the problem. He signals for more wine. Besides, I think you want things that aren't about money. Presumptuous. Accurate. You want to take photographs that matter. You want work that feels meaningful instead of just practical. You want connection that's real instead of convenient. He leans forward slightly. Am I wrong? No, but it's unsettling how well you read me after basically just meeting. I pay attention. You make it easy by being honest about what you feel. His hand finds mine again across the table. It's one of my favorite things about you. One of? There are multiple things. Several. Your honesty. Your humor about terrible situations. The way you light up when talking about photography. How you trusted me enough to get in my car, and then trusted me enough to spend today wandering around Los Angeles. He pauses. How you kiss like you've been thinking about it as much as I have. Heat floods my face. That was one kiss. Against a wall, next to a taco truck. It was a very good kiss. Location is irrelevant. You're very confident about your kissing abilities. I'm confident about our chemistry. The kissing is just evidence of something that's been building since you collapsed into my car complaining about your life. He's not wrong. The chemistry has been there from the beginning. Electric. Undeniable. Growing stronger with every conversation and shared meal and moment where his attention makes me feel seen in ways I've never experienced. We finish dinner. He pays without making it a production. Leads me outside where the night air is cool and the city is alive with Friday evening energy. Instead of taking me straight to his car, he starts walking. No destination. Just movement through streets that are busy with people looking for entertainment or escape or connection. Where are we going? Nowhere specific. Just walking. Is that okay? It's perfect. We walk for blocks. His hand finds mine naturally, like we've been doing this for years instead of days. He points out details I wouldn't notice alone. A restaurant he wants to take me to next week. A gallery opening happening next month he thinks I'd enjoy. Future plans casually inserted into conversation like my presence in his life beyond today is assumed rather than questioned. Eventually, we end up at a park overlooking the city. Not as dramatic as his private viewpoint, but still beautiful. There's a bench. We sit. The silence between us is comfortable, full of unspoken things that don't need words yet. Can I ask you something? I shift to face him better. Why me? You could probably have dinner with anyone. Date people who fit your world better. Why waste time with someone who was unemployed and homeless, and generally a disaster when we met? You weren't a waste of time. You were the most real thing that's happened to me in years. He turns to look at me fully. Everyone in my world wants something. Business deals, social connections, access to money or power, or influence. You just wanted someone to listen while you processed your terrible day. That was honest in ways I forgot people could be. But you don't actually know me. We've spent, 2 days together? How can you be this interested based on basically nothing? 2 days of actual conversation is more than most people get in months of dating. We skipped the small talk and performance. Went straight to the real parts. His hand comes up. Brushes hair from my face with gentle touch. I know you're smart and funny and passionate about work that matters. I know you make terrible situations bearable with humor. I know you're brave enough to trust strangers and vulnerable enough to admit when you're scared. That's not nothing. That's everything that matters. You make it sound simple, because it is simple. I like you. You like me. Everything else is just details we figure out as we go. What if the details are complicated? What if my broke, unemployed reality doesn't fit with your successful, whatever you do reality? Then we adapt. Make it work. Find compromise. He's so close now I can feel his breath. Unless you're saying you don't want to try? I didn't say that. Then what are you saying? I'm saying I'm scared. Of how fast this is moving. Of how much I already care about someone I barely know. Of what happens when reality intrudes on whatever bubble we're currently existing in. Reality will intrude. It always does. But that doesn't mean we can't have this. Whatever this becomes. He stands. Offers his hand. Come on. One more place before I take you home. We end up back at his viewpoint. The city spread below us like a promise. He opens the trunk, pulls out a blanket I didn't know was there, spreads it on the ground. We lie back looking at stars that are barely visible through light pollution but still there if you know where to look. This is nice. Nice enough to make you stop panicking about the future? I'm not panicking. I'm being realistic about potential complications. Realism is just fear dressed up as practicality. He rolls onto his side, props himself up on one elbow to look down at me. Stop thinking. Just be here, right now, with me. I'm not good at turning off my brain. I've noticed. It's part of your charm, but try anyway. So I try. Focus on the moment instead of the what-ifs, his proximity, the warmth of him next to me, the city lights below, and the stars above, and the feeling that something significant is happening, even if I can't define it yet. He kisses me again, slower this time, deeper, like we have all night, and he plans to use it. My hands find his hair, pull him closer. The kiss shifts from sweet to intense, from careful to consuming. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. We should stop. Probably, but neither of us moves. I should get home. You should. He kisses me again anyway, somewhere between the kissing and the talking and the lying under stars that barely exist. I fall asleep. Just drift off with his arm around me in the city as witness, and the feeling that maybe trusting this stranger wasn't the worst decision I've made this week. Chapter 5. Second Impact. The gentle fall. I wake up to sunlight and the smell of coffee. For a disoriented moment, I think I'm still at the viewpoint under stars. Then I register the soft sheets, the unfamiliar ceiling, the fact that I'm in a bed I've never seen before wearing the dress I had on last night, and absolutely nothing makes sense. I sit up too fast. The room spins slightly. It's massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing a view that makes my apartment look like a cardboard box. Minimalist furniture that probably costs more than I used to make in 6 months. And on the nightstand next to me is a glass of water and a note in handwriting I'm starting to recognize. You fell asleep at the viewpoint. Didn't have the heart to wake you. You're in the guest room. Your virtue is intact. Coffee is downstairs when you're ready. Take your time. Jay. The relief that nothing happened is complicated by the realization that I spent the night at a stranger's house. Well, not a stranger anymore. Julian, the man who's been occupying my thoughts for 3 days straight, but still someone I barely know in any conventional sense. I find my shoes neatly placed by the door, my bag on a chair, everything carefully arranged like someone took care of me while I was unconscious, which should probably be creepy, but instead just feels safe. The bathroom attached to the guest room is nicer than my entire apartment. I use the fancy toothbrush still in packaging that suggests he keeps supplies for unexpected guests. Wonder briefly how often he has unexpected guests. Decide I don't want to know the answer to that question. When I finally make my way downstairs, the house is even more impressive in daylight. Open floor plan, modern without being cold, art on the walls that looks original, everything clean and organized in ways that suggest either he's incredibly disciplined or he has staff I haven't met yet. Julian is in the kitchen, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that somehow look as good as his expensive dinner clothes. He's making eggs with focused attention that suggests he actually knows what he's doing. Looks up when he hears me. Smiles like finding me in his kitchen is the best possible start to his day. Good morning. Sleep well. I slept at your house, in your guest room, after falling asleep on you at a viewpoint like some kind of narcoleptic disaster. I'm standing in the doorway trying to decide if I'm mortified or just confused. This is so embarrassing. This is human. You were exhausted. You fell asleep. I brought you somewhere comfortable instead of waking you up to drive you home to your depressing apartment. He plates the eggs, adds toast, sets everything on the island with casual grace. Coffee, please, and an explanation for why you didn't just wake me up like a normal person. Because you looked peaceful. First time I've seen you without stress written across your face. Didn't want to interrupt that. He pours coffee. Adds cream and sugar in proportions I'm starting to accept he's memorized. Besides, this way I get to make you breakfast. Win-win. This is weird though, right? Spending the night at a guy's house after 3 days of knowing him? Extremely weird. Also completely innocent given that you were unconscious in a guest room while I was in my room trying not to think about how much I wanted to kiss you goodnight. He slides a plate across to me. Eat. Then we can discuss the philosophical implications of unconventional relationship timelines. The eggs are perfect. Of course they are. I'm starting to accept that Julian is annoyingly competent at basically everything. You really cook. I really cook. Used to do it more before work consumed my life. Forgot how much I enjoy it until I had a reason to do it again. He's watching me eat with satisfaction that suggests feeding me is somehow rewarding. Plans for today. I should job hunt. Update my resume. Be responsible about my unemployment. Or you could spend the day here, with me, being irresponsible. He leans against the counter, arms crossed, looking unfairly attractive for someone who just woke up. I have a pool, a home office you could use for job applications if guilt requires productivity, a chef's kitchen where we could actually cook something elaborate for dinner. You're offering to let me spend the entire day at your house doing nothing. I'm offering to spend the day with you doing whatever sounds appealing. If that's nothing, fine. If that's cooking or swimming or watching you work on your photography portfolio, also fine. I just want your company. The honesty in his voice makes my chest tight. Why? What do you get out of spending your weekend with someone who has literally nothing to offer you? You keep saying that like you have nothing to offer. You have conversation that doesn't bore me. Perspective I don't usually get. Honesty that's rare. That's not nothing. That's everything I don't usually have access to. You make it sound like you're lonely. I'm surrounded by people constantly. Lonely is exactly what I am. He says it matter-of-factly, like admitting vulnerability is just stating obvious truth. Until you got in my car and reminded me what actual connection feels like. I should probably be concerned about how fast this is developing. Should definitely maintain some boundaries between stranger who gave me a ride and person I'm spending entire days with. Instead, I hear myself saying yes, agreeing to stay, to spend another day in this bubble where reality hasn't fully intruded yet. We end up in his pool. He loans me a swimsuit that fits suspiciously well, which I decide not to question. The water is heated. Perfect temperature. We swim lazy laps that aren't about exercise, just movement and proximity, and finding reasons to be close without making it obvious that's what we're doing. Tell me about your work. I'm floating on my back. He's treading water nearby. You own buildings and property, but you've never actually said what you do. Commercial real estate development. I buy properties, renovate them, lease or sell for profit. Sometimes I hold them long-term if the location is valuable enough. He says it like discussing the weather, instead of clearly being very successful. It's boring. Let's talk about something else. It's not boring. It's your career. How did you get into it? Necessity. I needed money. Real estate was the fastest legal path to getting it. He swims closer. We're in the shallow end now, both standing, water at chest height. I was good at seeing potential in things other people dismissed as worthless. Turns out that skill translates well to property development. Things or people. Both. He's close enough now that I can see water droplets on his eyelashes. I saw potential in you the moment you collapsed into my car complaining about your life. Everyone else probably saw a disaster. I saw someone brave enough to feel everything, instead of hiding from it. That's a very generous interpretation of me having a breakdown in a stranger's vehicle. It's an accurate interpretation of you being human in ways people usually aren't. His hand finds mine under the water, pulls me slightly closer. You're allowed to fall apart sometimes. Doesn't make you weak, makes you real. You have a lot of opinions about strength and weakness for someone who seems to have everything figured out. I don't have anything figured out. I'm good at looking controlled. There's a difference. His other hand comes up, brushes wet hair from my face. Case in point, I have no idea what I'm doing with you. Just know that I don't want to stop. We barely know each other. We know the important things. The rest is just details. You keep saying that like details don't matter. They matter, just not as much as this. He kisses me, soft and slow. We're standing in his heated pool in broad daylight, and nothing about this should feel as significant as it does. When we break apart, he's smiling. Still think I'm a serial killer. The jury's still out. You could be playing a very long game. If I was going to murder you, I'd have done it already. Much more efficient than feeding you and letting you use my guest room. Dark humor. I really do like that about you. Add it to the list of things you're learning. I'm full of surprises. We spend the afternoon being lazy. He sets up his laptop so I can work on updating my resume. Brings me coffee without being asked. Answers emails from his own computer, while I pretend to focus on job applications, instead of watching him work with focused intensity that's admittedly very attractive. Around 4, he appears with ingredients. Announces we're cooking dinner together. I admit I'm not a great cook. He says that's fine. He'll teach me. We make pasta from scratch. The process is messy and funny and involves way more flour ending up on surfaces than probably necessary. He's patient when I mess up measurements, encouraging when I get something right, and somewhere between rolling dough and simmering sauce, I realize I'm happy in ways I haven't been in months. You're good at this. I'm watching him dice vegetables with professional precision, the teaching thing. I'm good at most things when properly motivated. He glances at me with a smile that makes my stomach flip. You're excellent motivation. I'm standing here covered in flour watching you cook. That's motivating. You're standing in my kitchen laughing and learning and looking more relaxed than I've ever seen you. That's extremely motivating. Dinner is incredible. We eat at his dining table that probably seats 12 but feels intimate with just the two of us. Drink wine that costs more than my car payment used to be. Talk about everything and nothing. He tells me about growing up with parents who had expectations he simultaneously met and rebelled against. I tell him about my sister who's perfect, and my parents who love me, but don't understand why I can't just be satisfied with safe choices. They mean well. They just want me secure and stable. Secure and stable is code for small and manageable. You're not small. You shouldn't be manageable. He refills my wine. Anyone who wants you smaller doesn't deserve access to you. That's very absolutist. I'm very absolutist about people I care about getting what they deserve. The casual admission that he cares makes my breath catch. We've known each other less than a week. Time is irrelevant. Connection is what matters. And we have connection that most people don't find in years of conventional dating. He leans back, studies me with that focused attention. And tell me you don't feel it. I can't, because I do feel it. That's what scares me. Why does it scare you? Because things that feel this good usually end badly. Because I have terrible judgment about people. Because my life is a complete disaster and you're successful and stable, and eventually you're going to realize I'm not worth the complications. Elisa, he waits until I look at him. You're wrong about your judgment. You got in my car. You trusted me with your disasters. You're here now despite every logical reason to maintain distance. That's good judgment. That's recognizing something valuable and choosing it despite risk. Or it's me being reckless and calling it bravery. Same thing. Bravery is just recklessness with purpose. He stands, comes around the table, offers his hand. Come here. I take his hand because refusing feels impossible. He pulls me up, leads me to the windows overlooking the city that's starting to light up as evening settles, positions himself behind me, arms around my waist, chin resting on my shoulder. See that? He points toward downtown. That's my building. The one I bought when everyone said I was crazy, told me I'd lose everything, that I was being reckless. But you weren't. I was absolutely reckless. Also right. Sometimes those things coexist. His arms tighten slightly. You getting in my car was reckless. Also right. This thing between us is reckless. Also right. Stop punishing yourself for taking chances that might actually work out. I lean back against him. Let myself have this moment of feeling safe and seen and valued. What if it doesn't work out? Then we'll deal with it. Together. Like adults who actually communicate instead of just running when things get complicated. He turns me to face him. I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. And even then, I'll probably try to convince you otherwise. That's very presumptuous. That's very honest. He kisses me. Slow and deep and thorough. When we break apart, I'm breathing hard, and he's smiling. Stay tonight, in the guest room if you want. I just want you here. I don't have clothes or a toothbrush or anything I'd need for staying over. I have a washer and dryer, extra toothbrushes, t-shirts you can sleep in, everything you actually need. His hand cups my face. Say yes. I should say no. Should go home and maintain some semblance of boundaries. Should definitely not spend another night at a house belonging to someone I met less than a week ago. Yes. His smile is devastating. Good. Because I really didn't want to drive you home yet. Chapter.
If this story got to you in a way you weren't expecting, subscribe to the channel. Because I do this every single day. Stories that make you feel too much on an ordinary Tuesday. And leave the word viewpoint in the comments. I'll reply to each one with a special message just for you. I also want to thank our amazing new member, Shellen, who arrived with wonderful energy and is already part of the family. Welcome, Shellen, you're incredible. And a huge kiss to Rosemary and Michelle, who are always here leaving comments that warm my heart and remind me why I do this. You're the best. Now, back to the story.
Chapter 6. Emotional reward. Elegant spice. I wake up warm. Too warm. Confused about why my bed feels different and smells like expensive cologne, and then I remember Julian's house, his guest room. The agreement to stay over that seemed reasonable last night, and feels significantly more complicated in the cold light of morning, except I'm not in the guest room, I'm in a different bed, bigger, with windows showing a view I don't recognize from yesterday, and there's an arm around my waist that definitely wasn't there when I went to sleep in borrowed clothes after insisting very firmly that the guest room was perfect. and he should absolutely not interpret my staying over as anything other than practical convenience. I turn my head slowly. Julian is asleep next to me, his face relaxed in ways I haven't seen while he's conscious. Dark hair messy, breathing deep and even. And we're in the same bed, which means at some point during the night, something happened that I have absolutely no memory of. Panic sets in immediately. I try to extract myself without waking him, fail spectacularly when my movement makes him stir. His arm tightens around my waist instinctively. Before his eyes open, he blinks, focuses on me, smiles like waking up with me is exactly what he wanted. Good morning. Oh my God, we slept together. The words come out strangled. I don't remember sleeping together. Did we sleep together? Please tell me we didn't sleep together when I can't even remember it, because that would be the worst possible outcome. His smile widens. Define sleep together. You know exactly what I mean. Don't be cute about this. We slept together. In the same bed. That's the literal definition. He props himself up on one elbow, completely unfazed by my panic. You had a nightmare around 3 a.m. Came into my room, said the guest room felt too big and empty. Asked if you could stay here. I said yes. We both went back to sleep. Nothing else happened. I'm trying to process this information through the haze of mortification. I had a nightmare and invaded your room like some kind of needy child. You had a nightmare and trusted me enough to seek comfort. Those are very different framings. His hand comes up, brushes hair from my face with gentleness that contradicts his amused expression. And for the record, you're welcome in my bed anytime, for sleeping or otherwise, but preferably when you're conscious enough to remember it. The heat that floods my face is immediate and total. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. I'm very interested in you being in my bed under a variety of circumstances. Seemed relevant to mention. He's fully awake now, eyes tracking my expression with focused attention. You're blushing. Because you're talking about me being in your bed for reasons that aren't sleeping, and we've known each other for basically 5 minutes. 4 days. Feels longer though. Good longer. He sits up fully. The sheet falls to his waist. He's shirtless. I'm trying very hard not to notice that fact. Failing completely. And I'm talking about it because the tension between us is getting fairly difficult to ignore. Figured addressing it directly was more honest than pretending we're both not thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it. You're a terrible liar. It's charming. He's closer now. When did he get closer? You've been thinking about it since I kissed you at the taco truck. Probably before that, if we're being completely honest. Arrogant much. Observant. There's a difference. You look at me the same way I look at you, like you're trying to figure out how something can feel this intense this fast. His hand finds mine, threading fingers together. Want to know what I think? I have a feeling you're going to tell me regardless. I think we should stop fighting it. Stop pretending that keeping distance makes this more manageable. It doesn't. It just makes us both frustrated. He's so close now I can feel his breath. I think we should acknowledge that this thing between us is consuming and terrifying. And also the most interesting thing that's happened to either of us in a very long time. And then what? We just give in to chemistry and hope it works out. We give in to chemistry and see where it goes, like adults who are actually honest about what they want, instead of hiding behind appropriate timelines and conventional relationship progression. His mouth is inches from mine. I should pull back, create space, be sensible about not rushing into physical intimacy with someone I barely know. Instead, I close the distance, kiss him first, take control of something that's felt out of control since the moment I got in his car. He responds immediately, hand in my hair, other arm around my waist, pulling me closer. The kiss shifts from tentative to demanding, from question to answer. I'm suddenly very aware that we're in his bed, that I'm wearing his t-shirt and nothing else besides underwear, that he's shirtless and warm, and the barrier between us is thinner than it's ever been. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. His forehead rests against mine. We should stop. Probably, but neither of us moves. You're staying in my bed, in my shirt, looking at me like that. And we should definitely stop before this goes somewhere you're not ready for. What if I'm ready? You're not. You're caught up in intensity and chemistry and the momentum of everything that's happened this week. When we actually do this, I want you sure, not just swept up. He pulls back slightly, puts physical distance between us that feels like emotional maturity I should appreciate, but mostly just resent. Trust me, the waiting will be worth it. You're very confident about your abilities. I'm very confident about us, about this being something worth doing right instead of rushing because we can't control ourselves. He kisses me again, softer this time, almost gentle. But for the record, the self-control this is requiring is genuinely painful. Good. Suffer with me. I plan to. He climbs out of bed, offers his hand. Come on. I'm making breakfast. Then we're spending the day doing something that keeps us in public spaces where I can't kiss you senseless. That sounds terrible. That sounds like preserving something good by not consuming it too fast. He pulls me up, We're standing close again. His hands frame my face. I like you too much to mess this up by moving faster than you're actually ready for. Even if every instinct I have is screaming to ignore logic and just have you. The raw honesty makes my chest tight. You're nothing like I expected. Good. Expectations are boring. Reality is better. We end up having breakfast on his terrace. He makes French toast that's somehow both decadent and light. We eat while the city wakes up below us. Talk about nothing and everything. He tells me about a property he's considering buying. I tell him about the photographer from the gallery who emailed asking to see my portfolio. The conversation flows easy despite the tension still humming between us. When are you going to tell me what you actually do? I'm on my second cup of coffee. Real estate development is vague. What does that mean day to day? It means I identify undervalued properties in developing neighborhoods, buy them before prices spike, renovate to maximize value, then either hold them for rental income or sell for profit. He says it matter-of-factly. I'm good at seeing potential before other people do, in properties and people, and the people comment feels pointed, because it is. I saw potential in you immediately. Everyone else probably saw a disaster crying in a car. I saw someone brave enough to feel everything and strong enough to survive it. You keep saying that like it's a compliment. Most people would call emotional breakdowns a weakness. Most people are wrong. Feeling things deeply and surviving them is strength. Shutting down to avoid pain is the actual weakness. He refills my coffee without asking. You're stronger than you think. Just took losing everything to figure it out. Losing everything or meeting you? Both. Sometimes the universe burns down your life to make space for something better. He's watching me with that focused intensity again. Question: what are you doing today besides job hunting and being unemployed? That's literally all I have planned. Why? Because I want to take you somewhere, show you something. But it requires trusting me with several hours of your day. You keep asking me to trust you with my time like I have anything better to do. You could be productive, responsible, adult. He leans forward. Or you could come with me and see what happens when you stop being practical for 5 consecutive minutes. Where are we going? Somewhere that will help with the photography thing. That's all I'm saying. He stands, offers his hand in the gesture that's becoming familiar. Yes or no? I need to make a call if you're coming. I should say no. Should spend the day being responsible about my unemployment and impending homelessness. Should definitely not spend another entire day with Julian doing mysterious things that require phone calls and trust. Yes, but I need to go home first. Change clothes. Look like a functional human instead of someone wearing borrowed shirts. You look perfect in my shirts, but if you need your own clothes, I'll take you. He's already moving toward his room. Give me 10 minutes to shower and change. I could just call a car. You don't have to drive me. I want to drive you. I want to see your depressing apartment. I want to know where you've been living while building the life you're about to completely rebuild. He pauses in the doorway. Plus, I'm not letting you out of my sight long enough for you to talk yourself out of spending the day with me. Controlling. Interested. There's a difference. He disappears into his room. I'm left standing on his terrace in borrowed clothes, feeling completely out of my depth, and also more alive than I've felt in years. My phone buzzes. Text from my sister asking if I'm still alive since I haven't responded to her messages in 3 days. I type back quickly. Alive. Employed status. Uncertain. Romantic status. Even more uncertain. Call you later with details that will make you think I've lost my mind. Her response is immediate. You better. And this better involve the kind of story that includes good decisions for once. I look at Julian's house. Think about the last 4 days. The terrible decisions that led to the best moments. Define good decisions. Because by conventional standards, these are terrible. But they feel right. That's how you know you're actually living instead of just existing. About time. Maybe she's right. Maybe terrible decisions that feel right are exactly what I needed. Maybe Julian showing up outside my building with coffee and croissants and asking me to trust him with my time is the universe making space for something better. Or maybe I'm just justifying reckless behavior because a gorgeous man is paying attention to me and I'm too starved for connection to see red flags. Either way, I'm choosing this. Choosing him. Choosing the possibility that something this intense might actually be worth the risk, even if it terrifies me, especially because it terrifies me. Chapter 7. Brutal Revelation. My apartment looks even more depressing after spending 2 days at Julian's house. The peeling paint I've gotten used to ignoring suddenly feels impossible to overlook. The broken blinds, the water stain on the ceiling I've been meaning to report for 6 months, the general air of barely functioning that I've convinced myself was charming in a bohemian way but really just screams poverty and poor life choices. Julian walks in behind me, takes in everything without comment. His expression carefully neutral in ways that make it clear he's working very hard not to react to the disaster that is my living situation. It's temporary. I'm defensive, embarrassed. I know it's not much, but the rent was affordable and the location was convenient for work I no longer have. I wasn't judging, just observing. He's looking at the stack of photography books on my makeshift shelf, the camera equipment I can't afford to upgrade, the prints I've tacked to walls with tape because frames cost money I don't have. You've been living here how long? 2 years. It was supposed to be short-term while I saved money. Then life happened and short-term became indefinite. I'm gathering clothes, trying to decide what's appropriate for mysterious plans that require trust and several hours. What exactly are we doing today that requires me changing? Meeting someone who might be able to help with the photography career you keep insisting is impractical. He's picked up one of my prints, studying it with focus that suggests he's actually seeing what's there instead of just looking. This is good. Really good. Why aren't you selling these? Because nobody buys photographs from unemployed former marketing coordinators with no credentials or gallery representation. They buy photographs from artists with talent and vision, which you have. He sets down the print carefully. The meeting today is with a gallery owner I know. She owes me a favor. I'm cashing it in to get you in front of someone who can actually help. I stop mid-reach for a shirt. You're doing what? Getting you a meeting with someone who matters in the photography world. She runs one of the best galleries in Los Angeles. She's selective, difficult, but she knows talent when she sees it. He's watching me with expression that suggests he expected this reaction. Don't be mad. I'm not mad. I don't know what I am. Overwhelmed, grateful, terrified. I sit on my bed that's also a couch because studio apartments don't allow for separate furniture. Julian, you can't just call in favors to get me meetings with important people. That's not how this works. Why not? I have access. You have talent. Connecting those things is just logical resource allocation. It's charity. It's you using your success to manufacture opportunities I haven't earned. It's me opening a door you wouldn't have access to otherwise. What you do with that opportunity is entirely on you. She'll see your work. Judge it on merit. I can't make her like it. He sits next to me, our knees touching. But I can make sure she actually looks. That's all I'm doing. Why, though? Why go to this trouble for someone you barely know? Because I see what you could become if given the chance. Because watching you talk about photography makes you come alive in ways your marketing job never did. Because I can help, and choosing not to would be wasteful. His hand finds mine. And because I care about you more than is probably reasonable given our abbreviated timeline. The admission makes my throat tight. And we've known each other less than a week. You keep saying that like duration matters more than depth. I've known people for years who I care about less than I care about you after 4 days. He stands, pulls me up with him. Now get dressed. We're meeting her at 11 and you need to bring your portfolio. I don't have a physical portfolio. Everything's digital. Even better, bring your laptop. And that camera. He points to my aging DSLR. She'll want to see how you work. An hour later, we're sitting in a gallery in downtown Los Angeles that's so far out of my league, I feel like an imposter just walking through the door. The space is minimal, white walls, carefully curated pieces that probably cost more than I'll make in 5 years. And behind a desk that looks like modern art is a woman in her 50s who radiates the kind of intimidating competence that makes me want to apologize for existing. Julian introduces me like we're equals, like I'm not a disaster in thrifted clothes clutching a laptop that's held together with hope and stubbornness. The woman, Diane, looks at me with assessment that feels like being x-rayed for weaknesses. Julian says you're talented. Julian's taste is usually impeccable. Let's see if you're the exception. Or the rule. She gestures to a table. Show me what you have. I open my laptop with hands that want to shake. Pull up the folder of images I've been working on for years. The series about resilience. People who survived impossible things. Portraits that try to capture strength and vulnerability simultaneously. Diane scrolls through without comment. Her expression gives nothing away. Julian sits beside me, radiating calm confidence that I absolutely don't feel. The silence stretches long enough that I'm convinced this was a mistake, that I'm wasting her time, that Julian's favor is about to be burned on someone with no actual talent. Then Diane looks up. These are good, raw, some technical issues with lighting that training would fix. But the eye is there. The vision is there. She closes my laptop, looks at me directly. What's your background? Business school. Marketing job I just lost. Photography has been a hobby I couldn't afford to take seriously. Why not? Because rent costs money. Because my parents spent their retirement on my practical education. Because being an artist felt selfish when I had responsibilities. And now I have no job and no responsibilities, and apparently nothing to lose by trying. Good. People with nothing to lose make the most interesting art. She leans back. I can't promise anything, but I'm willing to look at a full portfolio if you can put one together. 20 pieces, cohesive series. Show me you can execute a vision from start to finish. How long do I have? 6 weeks. If what you produce is as good as these samples, we'll talk about a show. Small, nothing guaranteed, but a chance. She stands, meeting clearly over. Don't waste it trying to please me. Make art that matters to you. That's the only work worth showing. We're back in Julian's car before I can fully process what just happened. Did that just happen? Did I just get offered a potential gallery show? You got offered a chance to prove yourself, which is what you needed. He's driving but glancing at me with satisfaction. Told you having access was valuable. You basically just changed my entire career trajectory with one phone call. I made an introduction. You did everything else. She wouldn't have offered you 6 weeks if your work wasn't good enough to warrant it. He reaches over, takes my hand. May, stop discounting yourself. You're talented. Start believing it. The rest of the day passes in a blur. Julian takes me to lunch at a place where we sit outside, and I'm still buzzing with adrenaline from the meeting. He listens while I process out loud, offers practical advice about portfolio construction and series cohesion that suggests he knows more about art than he's let on. How do you know so much about photography? I collect art. Have for years. You learn what makes pieces valuable when you're spending money on them. He's watching me with that focused attention. Also, I've been researching since meeting you. Wanted to understand what you're passionate about. You researched photography because of me. I researched a lot of things because of you. How to support creative careers. What makes portfolios successful. Gallery politics. He says it like admitting he's been studying me is completely normal. I wanted to be useful. Required information. The casual way he admits to essentially researching how to help me is both touching and slightly overwhelming. That's very intense for someone you just met. I'm an intense person. You're discovering this about me. He leans forward. Does it bother you? The intensity? It should. It would if it was anyone else. But with you, it just feels right. Like intensity matches what I'm feeling, so it's balanced instead of overwhelming. I'm playing with my napkin. Nervous energy needing outlet. Is that weird? No. It's honest, which is what we're doing. Being honest about how consuming this is. His hand covers mine. Stills the nervous movement. I'm all in on this. On you. On whatever we're building. Need you to know that? We've known each other 4 days. You keep saying that like it's supposed to slow me down. It doesn't. 4 days of actually connecting is worth more than 4 months of surface-level dating. He leans back. But if you need more time to catch up to where I am, I'll wait. Just know that I'm already certain. Certain about what? That you're the most interesting thing that's happened to me in years. That I want to see where this goes. That walking away isn't something I'm willing to consider unless you explicitly tell me to. The weight of his certainty should terrify me. Instead, it feels like safety. Like someone finally seeing me completely and choosing to stay instead of running. I'm not telling you to walk away. Good, because I'd probably try to convince you otherwise anyway. We spend the afternoon walking through neighborhoods I've never explored. He shows me potential locations for photo shoots, points out light and angles with knowledge that confirms he's actually been researching, asks questions about my vision for the portfolio that make me think harder about what I'm trying to say. By the time he drives me back to my apartment, it's evening. The day feels like a week compressed into hours. I'm exhausted and energized and completely overwhelmed by everything that's happened. Thank you. For today. For the meeting. For caring about my career when you barely know me. I know you. Maybe not every detail, but I know what matters. You're talented and brave and deserve chances you haven't been getting. He walks me to my door, kisses me goodnight with restrained intensity. 6 weeks. You're going to create something incredible. I know it. How are you so sure? Because I've seen what you can do when you believe in yourself. The gallery meeting was you believing for maybe the first time. Now you just have to maintain that belief for 6 weeks. He leaves me standing in my depressing apartment that feels less depressing somehow. Like Julian's certainty is contagious. Like maybe taking chances on impossible things is exactly what I needed. I'm looking at my camera, thinking about the portfolio, about 6 weeks and gallery shows and career trajectories that don't involve spreadsheets. When my phone buzzes, start tomorrow. Don't overthink it. Just create. Trust your instincts. They're better than you think. Jay. I'm smiling as I text back. Bossy, but okay. Thank you for today, for believing in me, always. Now go plan your portfolio. I'll bring coffee tomorrow morning. We're making this happen. I fall asleep making lists, locations, subjects, themes. For the first time in 2 years, I'm actually excited about my future instead of just surviving my present. And it's all because a stranger who wasn't actually a stranger stopped his car and listened when I needed someone to hear me. Chapter 8. Love in Crisis. Funny fights plus chaos. The next 2 weeks pass in a blur of photography, and Julian showing up at my apartment uninvited with coffee and opinions about my creative process. He brings breakfast, sits on my terrible couch that's also a bed, watches me work with focus that should be distracting but somehow helps me think better, offers suggestions that are annoyingly good, asks questions that push me to articulate what I'm trying to capture, and generally makes himself completely at home in my disaster of a living situation, like the contrast between his world and mine doesn't exist. You can't keep just showing up here every morning. I'm on day 9 of portfolio development. He's on his 3rd cup of coffee from my ancient coffee maker that he's already offered to replace twice. I've refused both times on principle, even though the thing barely functions. Why not? You're working on something important. I have flexible schedule. This is efficient use of both our time. It's weird. Normal people don't just insert themselves into other people's creative processes uninvited. Good thing I'm not normal people. He's looking at the images I've been editing. This one needs more contrast. The shadows are too soft for what you're trying to say about resilience. I didn't ask for your opinion. You're getting it anyway. That's what happens when you let someone care about your success. Unsolicited feedback comes with the territory. He leans back, watches me with that amused expression he gets when I'm being difficult. Also, you know I'm right about the contrast. I hate that he's right about the contrast. Make the adjustment anyway because arguing would be admitting he knows what he's talking about. How do you even know about photo editing? You're in real estate. I collect art. I pay attention. I research specifically to be useful to you. He says it like admitting he's been studying photography for 2 weeks to help my career is completely normal. Why are you being defensive about me helping? Because I should be able to do this alone. Because accepting help feels like admitting I can't manage my own career. Because you've already done so much and I haven't given you anything in return. You've given me company, conversation that doesn't bore me, purpose beyond just making money. He stands, comes to where I'm sitting at my tiny desk, and you're doing this alone. I'm just here, being supportive. There's a difference. You're here every single morning with coffee and breakfast and opinions about my lighting. Because I want to be here. Because watching you work is interesting. Because your coffee maker is terrible, and someone needs to make sure you actually eat. His hand finds my shoulder, squeezes gently. Stop fighting support just because you're not used to having it. He's right. Again, I hate how often he's right about things I don't want to admit. Fine, you can keep showing up uninvited, but stop judging my coffee maker. I'll stop judging it when it stops producing something that tastes like burned sadness. That's very specific criticism. I'm very specific about coffee quality. It's a character flaw. The routine continues. He shows up. I pretend to be annoyed. We both know I'm not actually annoyed. He helps in ways I'm slowly learning to accept. And somewhere in the middle of week 2, I realize I'm looking forward to his morning appearances more than I'm willing to admit out loud. Then things start getting weird. We're at lunch at the taco truck that's become our regular spot when a man approaches Julian. Expensive suit, nervous energy, the kind of demeanor that suggests he needs something and isn't sure how to ask for it. Mr. Hartwell, sorry to interrupt. I'm with the development firm downtown. We've been trying to reach you about the property on 5th. Julian's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his posture. More formal. More controlled. Not a good time. Have your assistant schedule a meeting. Of course. Yes. Sorry again. The man practically runs away. I'm staring at Julian. Mr. Hartwell? That's my name. Yes. You never told me your last name. You never asked. He's back to eating his tacos like nothing happened. Why? Does it matter? The way that guy just talked to you matters. Like you're important. Like you're someone people need to schedule meetings with instead of just approaching casually. I own significant property in this city. People want things from me. Not unusual in commercial real estate. He's deflecting. I can feel it. What's your company called? Hartwell Development Group. Very creative naming. I used my own name. I pull out my phone, Google his name plus Los Angeles real estate. The results make my stomach drop. Articles. Profiles, photos of him at charity galas and business events, net worth estimates that have so many zeros. I stop counting. Headlines calling him one of the most successful developers under 40 in California. You're not just successful. You're like actually rich, like seriously wealthy. I have resources. Yes, he's watching me carefully now. Does that change something? You let me think you were just some guy with a nice car and a viewpoint. You didn't mention being a literal millionaire real estate mogul. Multi-millionaire technically, but who's counting? He's trying for humor. I'm not in the mood. This isn't funny. You lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't volunteer information you didn't ask for. There's a difference. A difference that feels a lot like deception right now. I'm standing, gathering my stuff. I need space to think about this. Elisa. Wait, he's standing too. My money doesn't change anything about us. It changes everything about us. I thought we were equals. Turns out you're slumming it with the unemployed photographer while running an empire I didn't even know existed. That's not fair. I've been nothing but honest about who I am. You've been strategically vague about your success level. That's not the same as honest. I'm walking away. He's following. Stop following me. No, we're talking about this. There's nothing to talk about. You're rich. I'm broke. You have power and connections and apparently people who need to schedule meetings. I have a broken coffee maker and 6 weeks to prove I'm not a complete failure. We're not in the same universe. We're in the exact same universe having this stupid argument about something that doesn't actually matter. He catches my arm, gently. My bank account doesn't change how I feel about you, how you feel about me. We haven't even defined what this is. For all I know, I'm just entertainment. The broke girl project you're working on until you get bored. The hurt that flashes across his face makes me regret the words immediately. You actually think that That you're a project. I don't know what to think. You've been showing up every day playing supportive partner when you're actually some kind of business mogul who probably has assistants and meetings and a whole life I know nothing about. I have assistants. I have meetings. I also have you. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. His hands frame my face, force me to look at him. I didn't tell you specifics about my wealth because I wanted you to see me. Not my money, not my success. Just Julian, the guy who picked you up when you were having the worst day. The person you've been spending time with. That's who I am. The money is just circumstance. Circumstance that changes power dynamics. That makes everything we've built feel unbalanced. Why? Because I can afford things you can't. That's not power imbalance. That's just different circumstances we navigate together. He's still holding my face. I fell for you when you were unemployed and crying in my car. Your financial situation isn't what makes you valuable to me. Fell for me. I catch the phrasing. You fell for me. Of course I fell for you. Why else would I be showing up every morning with coffee? Why else would I call in favors for gallery meetings? Why else would I care this much about your success? He's searching my face. Did you really not know? You never said it, never defined what this was, because I thought it was obvious. I'm in love with you. Have been since approximately day 3 when you argued with me about thunderstorms while eating fancy pasta on a hillside. He says it like stating a fact. Is that clear enough definition? My brain is short-circuiting. You can't just say you love me in the middle of a fight about you being secretly rich. Why not? Seems like relevant information given you're accusing me of treating you like a project. He's smiling now. I don't fund portfolio development for projects. I fund it for people I love who deserve chances they haven't been getting. You're impossible. I'm in love. There's a difference. He kisses me, right there on the street with people walking past. Still mad about the money. Yes, but also no, I don't know. This is confusing. Welcome to emotions. They're usually confusing. He takes my hand, starts walking. Come on, I'm taking you somewhere. Where? My office. Since apparently I've been too vague about my actual life, time to fill in the gaps. His office building is downtown, glass and steel, the kind of place where everyone looks important and busy. The lobby has his company name in letters that are taller than I am. We take an elevator to the top floor. Everyone we pass greets him with respect that borders on intimidation. He nods, acknowledges people without stopping. His actual office is corner suite with views that rival his house. Sleek desk, expensive furniture, walls covered with architectural plans and photos of buildings I recognize from around the city. This is your office. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm not showing up uninvited at your apartment. He's watching me take it all in. Still think I'm slumming it. I think you're way more successful than you let on. That's intimidating. It's just work. Buildings and deals and money. None of it is as interesting as you. He sits on the edge of his desk. I didn't tell you specifics, because I wanted you to get to know me without the wealth changing how you saw me. That was selfish, maybe, but honest about my intentions, which were to date you, to support your career, to be with someone who sees me instead of my bank account. He pulls me closer. Did it work? Do you see me? I see you. The money just adds context I didn't have before. I'm standing between his legs now. Are you really in love with me? Really in love. Completely certain. Probably moving too fast, but also not interested in slowing down. His hands settle on my waist. Are you running? Because that would be unfortunate timing given the confession. I'm not running. I'm processing. There's a difference. Take your time. I'll be here. Being patient. Possibly bribing you with coffee to speed up the processing. Bribing with coffee is cheating. It's strategic resource allocation. There's a difference. I kiss him because arguing seems less productive than just accepting that Julian is wealthy and successful, and somehow still interested in me despite having zero logical reason to be. For the record, I'm probably falling in love with you too, which is terrifying. Good. Terror means you're paying attention. He stands, keeping me close. Now, are we done fighting about money I didn't hide but also didn't advertise? For now, but I reserve the right to bring it up again when I'm feeling insecure. Fair. I'll be ready with reassurances and possibly expensive coffee to smooth things over. You can't buy.
She found out he's a multi-millionaire in the middle of lunch. They argued. He confessed his love during the argument. Very Julian timing.
Chapter 9, Third Impact. The World Real Collides. 3 weeks into portfolio development, and I'm starting to believe this might actually work. The images are coming together, cohesive, powerful, better than anything I've produced before because I'm finally creating, without the weight of it being just a hobby I can't afford to take seriously. Julian's daily presence has become routine in ways that feel both comfortable and terrifying. He shows up, brings coffee, watches me work, offers opinions I've stopped pretending to resent because they're usually right. We've fallen into something that looks like a relationship without ever formally defining it. He kisses me goodnight when he leaves, texts me constantly throughout the day, shows up at my apartment like he has every right to be there, and I've stopped questioning it because fighting the inevitable feels exhausting. Then reality crashes back in with a phone call I'm not expecting. Elisa Chen. The woman's voice is professional, unfamiliar. I'm editing photos when my phone rings. Almost don't answer unknown numbers. Do anyway because unemployment means every call could be a job opportunity. This is she. I'm calling from Hartwell Development Group. Mr. Hartwell asked me to reach out regarding the property at 2847 Silver Lake Boulevard. My brain takes a second to process. That's my building, my apartment, the place my landlord is selling. I'm sorry. What? Mr. Hartwell acquired the property last week. He wanted to inform current tenants personally that there will be no immediate changes. Your lease will be honored at current rates through its full term. The words don't make sense. Julian bought my building, my actual apartment building, without mentioning it, without asking, just bought it like purchasing real estate where I live is a completely normal thing to do. Can you hold, please? I don't wait for her answer. Just pull up Julian's contact and call. He answers on the second ring, sounding distracted like he's in the middle of something important. Hey, everything okay? Did you buy my building? Silence. Long enough that I know the answer before he speaks. I was going to tell you. When? After I found out from your assistant calling about lease terms? My voice is shaking. Anger or fear or some combination I can't identify. You bought the building I live in and didn't think that was worth mentioning. It's not what it looks like. It looks like you're trying to control my life. Fix my housing problem without asking if I wanted it fixed. Make decisions about where I live without consulting me. I'm pacing now. Small apartment making the movement pointless but necessary. What else have you done that you haven't mentioned? Nothing. I bought the building because the landlord was selling and I didn't want you to lose your apartment in the middle of portfolio development. That's it. Pure logistics. Pure logistics? Julian, normal people don't buy buildings as logistics. That's not help. That's control disguised as care. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to make your life easier by making decisions about my housing without asking. How is that not controlling? I'm at the window looking at streets I've walked for 2 years. Streets that apparently belong to Julian now. You can't just fix my problems with money and expect me to be grateful. I don't expect gratitude. I expect you to focus on your portfolio instead of stressing about finding a new apartment while you're already overwhelmed. His voice has an edge now, frustrated. You're making this about power when it's about practicality. Buying someone's building is never just practical. It's a statement about what you think I need, about what you think I can't handle alone. My throat is tight. I was going to figure out the apartment situation. It's not your job to solve it for me. Why not? I have resources. You have a problem those resources can solve. Using them efficiently isn't manipulation. It is when you don't ask first, when you just make decisions that affect my life and expect me to accept them because your intentions were good. So you'd rather be homeless in 3 weeks than accept help from someone who loves you. I'd rather be consulted about major decisions affecting my housing situation. I'd rather be treated like an equal partner instead of a problem to manage. I'm sitting now, head in my hands. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The money changing everything, making us unequal. The money doesn't make us unequal. Your refusal to accept help when you need it makes this harder than it has to be. He's quiet for a moment. I'm coming over. We're talking about this in person. I don't want to see you right now. Too bad. I'm already in my car. He hangs up before I can argue. I'm left sitting in an apartment I apparently don't have to move out of because Julian Hartwell decided my housing crisis was his to solve. The anger is complicated by relief I don't want to feel, by gratitude that makes me feel weak, by the reality that he did solve a problem I had no good solution for. But that doesn't make it okay, doesn't make the lack of consultation acceptable, doesn't change the fact that he made a major decision about my life without including me in the process. 20 minutes later, he's knocking on my door. I let him in because refusing feels childish. He walks in looking frustrated and worried and determined in equal measure. I should have told you, before buying it, before the assistant called. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. The immediate apology takes wind out of my defensive sails. You can't just buy buildings I live in, Julian. That's not normal. That's not how relationships work. Nothing about us has been normal from the beginning. Why start now? He's standing in the middle of my small apartment looking too large for the space. But you're right. I should have asked. Should have told you the landlord approached me about selling. Should have consulted you before making an offer. Why didn't you? Because I knew you'd refuse. You'd insist on handling it yourself, even though you have no money and limited options and too much pride to accept help when you desperately need it. His hand runs through his hair. Frustrated gesture. I was trying to make your life easier, not control it. By taking away my choice. How is that not controlling? By solving a problem so you could focus on what actually matters. Your portfolio, your career, your future. He moves closer. I'm not trying to make you dependent. I'm trying to support you through a transition period so you can actually build something instead of just surviving. What if I need to survive on my own? What if accepting your help makes me weak? Accepting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart enough to use available resources. He's in front of me now, close. I love you. That means I want to make your life better when I can. The building was an opportunity to do that. I took it. Maybe I should have asked first, but the intention was never control. Intention doesn't erase impact. You made me feel powerless, like my housing situation is yours to manage instead of mine to solve. Then tell me how to help. Give me rules, boundaries, whatever you need to feel like we're partners instead of me just making decisions you have to live with. His hands frame my face, because I'm not stopping. I'm not walking away. I'm not going to watch you struggle when I can help. But I'll learn to ask first. The sincerity in his voice cracks something in my chest. You really don't see how buying my building is excessive. I see how it looks. I'm telling you it wasn't about control. It was about keeping you stable while you build something important. His thumb brushes my cheek. I'm not trying to buy you or own you or make you dependent. I'm trying to love you the way I know how, which apparently includes real estate acquisitions. That's insane. Welcome to dating someone with resources. Sometimes love looks like property investment. He almost smiles. Is this a relationship-ending offense? Or can we work through the fact that I'm terrible at asking permission before helping? It should be relationship-ending. Normal people would run. I'm leaning into his touch despite myself. But apparently I'm not normal either because I'm still here. Good. Because leaving over this would be stupid and you're not stupid. He kisses me. Gentle. I'll do better. I'll ask before making major decisions. I'll treat you like an equal partner instead of someone who needs managing. I promise. And if you break that promise, then you get to be righteously angry, and I have to grovel with expensive coffee and probably more apologies. He pulls me against him. But I won't break it, because losing you over my inability to communicate before acting would destroy me. We stand like that for a long moment, his arms around me, my face against his chest, the anger fading into exhausted acceptance that this is who he is, someone who solves problems with resources I don't have, someone whose love language apparently includes buying buildings. I'm still mad. You're allowed to be mad. I earned it. His chin rests on my head. But are we okay? Are we working through this? We're working through it. On the condition that you never buy property I'm living in without asking first. Deal. Future real estate acquisitions affecting your housing will be discussed in advance. He pulls back to look at me. Can I stay? Or do you need space to process? You can stay, but you're ordering dinner and paying. And accepting that I'm going to bring this up every time we fight for at least the next month. Fair terms. I accept. He's already pulling out his phone. What do you want to eat? Something expensive, since you're apparently rich enough to buy buildings on a whim, using my wealth against me. That's tactical. I'm impressed. We order Thai food that costs more than I used to spend on groceries in a week. Eat on my terrible couch while he explains the actual logistics of the building purchase. How the landlord approached him knowing he'd acquired properties in the area. How the offer was strategic for his portfolio, regardless of me living there. How keeping current tenants at existing rates actually makes business sense beyond just helping me. So it wasn't completely altruistic. Nothing I do is completely altruistic. I'm a businessman. But your apartment being in the building definitely influenced the decision timeline. He's watching me with that focused attention. Still mad. Less mad. Still processing. I set down my takeout container. Can I ask you something? Anything? What do you actually want from this? From us? Long term? He's quiet for a moment, considering his answer with the care he gives everything important. I want you. In my life. Permanently. I want to support your career. Watch you succeed. Be the person you come home to when things are good or terrible or anywhere in between. That's very serious for someone I've known 3 weeks. I'm a serious person about things I care about. And I care about you more than I've cared about anyone in years. His hand finds mine. Does that scare you? Terrifies me, but also feels right in ways I can't explain. I lean against him. I love you. Even when you're buying buildings without asking. Even when you're impossible and controlling and using resources in ways that make me feel helpless. I love you too. Even when you're stubborn about accepting help. Even when you fight me on things that would make your life easier. Even when you're making this harder than it needs to be on principle. He kisses the top of my head. We're going to fight about money, about control, about me trying to fix things you want to handle alone. That's inevitable given our different circumstances, and we'll work through it every time, because what we have is worth the complications. He shifts, so we're facing each other. I meant what I said earlier. I'll do better. I'll ask before acting. I'll treat you like an equal partner, but you have to let me help sometimes. Let me use resources to make our lives better instead of insisting on struggling alone on principle. That's harder than you think. I know, but try anyway. For us. I kiss him instead of answering. Pour everything I can't articulate into physical connection that says what words can't. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. Stay tonight. I don't phrase it as a question. Not in the guest room. Here, with me. His eyes darken. Are you sure? I'm sure I want you here. I'm sure I want to stop pretending we're taking this slow when we both know we're already all in. I stand. Offer my hand. Stay. He takes my hand. Follows me to a bed that's too small for 2 people, but we make it work anyway. And somewhere between the kissing and the whispered confessions and the feeling of finally being completely honest about what we want, I stop worrying about power imbalances and money and control, because this, us, the way he looks at me like I'm everything that matters, that's worth working through the complications. Chapter 10. Final rush. 6 weeks goes faster than it should. The portfolio comes together in ways I didn't think possible. 20 pieces that actually say something about resilience and survival and the beauty of broken things that refuse to stay broken. Julian is there for most of it, watching me work, offering opinions that push me harder, celebrating small victories like they're major achievements, being exactly the kind of partner I didn't know I needed until I had him. We don't talk about what happens after Diane sees the finished work. Don't discuss timelines or next steps or the reality that my unemployment funds run out next week, and I still have no backup plan beyond hoping this gamble pays off. Just focus on creating something worth showing. The night before the gallery meeting, I can't sleep. Julian's apartment has become more familiar than my own over the past weeks. I'm here more often than not, using his space to work, sleeping in his bed, existing in his life like I've always been part of it. He finds me at 2 a.m, standing at the windows looking at the city that's about to decide if I'm actually talented or just delusional. Can't sleep. His voice is rough with exhaustion. He's been working late on some deal I don't fully understand. Came to bed hours ago while I promised I'd follow soon. Clearly didn't. What if she hates it? What if I spent 6 weeks creating something that proves I'm not actually good enough? Then you'll create something else. Try again. Keep working until you are good enough. He's behind me now, arms around my waist, solid and warm and certain, but she's not going to hate it, because it's incredible, because you're talented, because you put everything you have into this. You have to say that. You're biased. I'm honest. There's a difference. The work is good. Trust yourself even if you can't trust my opinion. I lean back against him, let his certainty substitute for my own that's rapidly dissolving into panic. I'm terrified. Good. Terror means it matters, means you care enough to be afraid of failing. He turns me to face him, but you're not going to fail. You're going to walk into that gallery tomorrow and show Diane something worth her time. Then she's going to offer you a show. Then your career actually starts. You're very confident about things you can't control. I'm confident about you. Everything else is just details. He kisses my forehead. Come to bed. You need sleep. Tomorrow is important. I follow him back to bed, curl against him in the dark. His breathing evens out within minutes. Mine takes longer. I'm still awake when dawn starts lightening the sky, still convinced this is going to end badly, despite all evidence suggesting otherwise. The gallery meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m. Julian insists on driving me, holds my hand the entire way while I try not to throw up from nerves, parks outside the gallery that still intimidates me despite having been here before, looks at me with expression that's pure faith in my abilities. You've got this. What if I don't? Then I've got you. Either way, you're not alone in this. He kisses me, quick, confident. Go show her what you made. I'll be waiting. Diane is already inside when I arrive. Same intimidating presence. Same assessing gaze that makes me feel transparent. I set up my laptop, pull up the portfolio I've spent 6 weeks perfecting, step back and let her look. The silence is absolute, endless. She scrolls through every image, goes back to some, studies them with focus that gives nothing away. I'm dying slowly from anxiety when she finally speaks. This is exceptional work. The words don't compute at first. I'm sorry. What? Exceptional. Better than I expected. Better than most established photographers produce. She closes the laptop, looks at me directly. I want to give you a show. 3 months from now. Full exhibition. We'll need to print these large format, frame them properly. Do this right. You're offering me a show. I'm offering you a career if you don't mess this up. The work is there. The vision is there. Now you just have to deliver on the execution. She stands. My assistant will contact you about contracts and timeline. Don't disappoint me. I'm floating when I leave the gallery. Julian is waiting outside looking more nervous than I've ever seen him. Stands when he sees me, searching my face for verdict. She loved it. She's giving me a show. 3 months. Full exhibition. His smile could light the entire city. Pulls me into a hug that lifts me off the ground. I knew it. I told you. You're incredible. We celebrate with lunch that turns into afternoon champagne. He toasts to my success with pride that feels more real than anything I've experienced. Tells me this is just the beginning. That he knew I could do this from the moment I started talking about photography like it was religion. But somewhere between the celebration and the champagne, reality starts creeping back in. 3 months until the show means 3 months of preparation. Means printing costs and framing expenses and all the logistics that come with actually mounting an exhibition. Means I need income. I don't have to support myself while doing unpaid creative work. Means dependence on Julian that I've been trying to avoid. That night in his apartment, I I finally say what I've been thinking all day. I need to go home. He looks up from his laptop, confused. You are home. You've been staying here for weeks. I mean, really home. My apartment, my space. I need distance to think about what comes next without your certainty filling all the gaps where my doubt lives. Understanding crosses his face, followed by something that looks like hurt. You're leaving. Not leaving. Just going home. There's a difference. Is there? Because it feels like you're running the moment things get real. The moment success becomes tangible instead of theoretical. I'm not running. I'm being practical about the fact that I've been living in your space, using your resources, depending on you for everything while pretending I'm still independent. I'm gathering my things, the clothes I've accumulated here, the toiletries that have migrated from guest room to master bath. I need to figure out how to do this on my own. Why? Why do you need to do it alone when you have someone willing to help? He's standing now, frustrated. This is about the building again, about money and power and you insisting on struggling instead of accepting support. This is about me needing to know I can survive without you. That my success isn't just because Julian Hartwell decided to fund my career development. My voice cracks. I need to prove to myself that I'm worth something independent of your resources. You are worth something. You always were. The gallery show proves that Diane doesn't care about my connections. She cares about your work. Work I created while living rent-free in your apartment, using your space, your encouragement, your everything. I'm at the door now, bags packed. I love you, but I need to do the next part alone. Prove I can handle success without you managing all the details. So you're just leaving, after everything we've built, after I told you I want this permanently. I'm going home, to my apartment, that you bought, to figure out how to be successful on my own terms. I'm crying now, can't help it. If we're supposed to work long-term, we need to be equals. Right now, I'm just the project you're supporting, the struggling artist you're saving. I need to be more than that. You are more than that. You've always been more than that. He's not trying to stop me, just watching me destroy something good because I'm too scared to accept it. But if you need space to figure that out, I'm not going to force you to stay. I'm not saying goodbye forever, just goodbye for now. Until I can come back as someone who deserves you instead of someone who needs you. You deserve me already. You just don't believe it yet. He crosses to me, cups my face with hands that shake slightly. But I'll wait. I'll give you space. I'll be here when you're ready to stop running from something good because it scares you. What if I'm never ready? What if the distance makes us realize this was just intensity mistaken for love? Then we'll deal with that too. But I don't think that's what happens. He kisses me, slow and thorough and devastating. I think you go home. You panic. You realize you missed this. Then you come back and we figure out how to make it work on terms that feel equal. You're very confident about things you can't predict. I'm confident about you, about us, about the fact that what we have doesn't disappear just because you need space to process your success. He opens the door. Go. Prove to yourself what I already know, that you're talented and strong and capable of anything. Then come back and let me love you properly. I leave before I can change my mind. Drive to my apartment that feels smaller and emptier than I remember. Sit in silence that used to feel like peace, and now just feels like absence. Julian's absence. The certainty he radiates. The way he makes complicated things feel manageable. My phone buzzes an hour later. You forgot this. The photo attached is his jacket. The one I borrowed weeks ago and never returned. The one that still smells like him and lives on my chair, because putting it away felt like admitting something was ending. I text back through tears. Keep it for me. I'll get it when I come back. When, not if. I like that. Then another message. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. But for the record, next time you try to convince yourself we're better apart, remember that you just said when instead of if. Your subconscious is smarter than your fear. I'm crying and laughing at the same time. You're impossible. I'm in love. There's a difference. Now go be brilliant and independent. And prove whatever you need to prove. I'll be here waiting for you to realize you don't have to choose between success and me. You can have both. I fall asleep in my own bed for the first time in weeks. It feels wrong, too cold, too empty, too absent of the man who somehow became essential in less than 2 months. But it also feels necessary. Like space, I need to figure out who I am when I'm not just Julian's girlfriend. When I'm actually Elisa Chen, photographer with a gallery show in 3 months. 3 days later, I'm drowning in logistics I didn't anticipate. Printing costs alone are going to bankrupt me. Framing is worse. The gallery wants professional quality, which means professional prices I absolutely cannot afford. I spend 16 hours researching options, making spreadsheets, trying to figure out how to mount an exhibition on unemployment funds that run out next week. My phone rings. Julian. I've been avoiding his calls because talking to him makes me want to abandon this whole independent proving ground and just go back to his apartment where everything was easier. I answer anyway because apparently self-discipline isn't my strong suit. Hey yourself. How's the independence going? Expensively. Turns out gallery shows cost money I don't have. I'm surrounded by quotes from printers and framers, all of them astronomical. I'm starting to think I should have stayed where things were manageable. You should have, but you didn't. So now you're learning that success has costs that aren't always obvious. He pauses. Want help? No. Yes, I don't know. I'm rubbing my temples. Asking for help feels like admitting I can't do this alone. You can't do it alone. Nobody does. Success is always collaborative whether we admit it or not. His voice is gentle. Let me help. Not because you can't manage, because you shouldn't have to manage everything by yourself when you have someone willing to share the burden. That's what I'm trying to avoid, being the burden you're sharing. You're not a burden. You're my partner. Partners help each other. That's how it works. He's quiet for a moment. Here's what I'm proposing. I cover the printing and framing costs as an investment. If the show sells, you pay me back from proceeds. If it doesn't, we call it my contribution to supporting an artist I believe in. No strings. No power dynamics. Just practical resource allocation. That's still you solving my problems with money. That's me using resources to help someone I love succeed. There's a difference. His voice softens. You don't have to accept, but the offer stands. Think about it. Let me know. He hangs up before I can argue. Leaves me sitting in my apartment surrounded by impossible numbers and the reality that maybe doing this completely alone isn't brave. Maybe it's just stubborn. I text him an hour later. Terms, you cover costs as loan. I pay back with interest when show sells. We draft actual contract, so this is business, not charity. Deal. His response is immediate. Deal. I'll have my lawyer draft something. You focus on making art worth the investment. Thank you for not making this weird, for letting me maintain some illusion of independence while accepting help. You're welcome. For the record, you were always going to come back. This just speeds up the timeline. Then, I miss you. Come have dinner with me this week. No agenda. Just us. I miss you too. Dinner sounds good. Wednesday? Perfect. I'll pick you up. Try not to panic about accepting a ride from someone you're trying to prove you don't need. Impossible man. You're impossible man. There's a difference. I'm smiling when I put down my phone. Maybe he's right. Maybe I can have both. Success on my terms. And someone who supports me getting there. Maybe accepting help isn't weakness when it comes from someone who actually wants to see you succeed. 3 months suddenly feels manageable instead of impossible.
Well, now let's get to the channel's favorite segment, Story Curiosities 1. The wrong car meet cute has a real basis. Rideshare mix-ups happen frequently in big cities. People get into the wrong cars, especially when they're emotionally shaken. Most drivers correct the mistake immediately. Julian chose not to. Psychology. Emotional distress reduces attention to detail. She didn't even check the license plate, so be careful. This is fiction, and we love a handsome man. But a stranger taking a woman somewhere is extremely dangerous, especially a mafia boss who, in real life, would probably be old, weird, and bearded. God help us. 2. Private viewpoints in Los Angeles really exist. Properties in the Hollywood Hills often have private viewpoints. Some of the best city views are inaccessible to the public. Premium real estate in LA frequently includes view rights in contracts. In the story, Julian having a private viewpoint was the first sign of real wealth. 3. The fast timeline is psychologically plausible. Intensity does not equal duration when forming bonds. Studies show people form deep attachments during crises or transitions. She was in crisis, fired, dumped. Homeless equals vulnerable to rapid connection. Trauma bonding versus genuine connection. The difference is respect for boundaries. I wrote this story because real love doesn't arrive saving you. It arrives staying. Elisa didn't need a man to fix her life. She needed someone to sit beside her, drink the same bad coffee, and say, "Okay, complain. I can take it." Julian had power, money, and the habit of giving orders. With her, he learned to wait. He learned that desire also lives in self-control. That asking before touching can be as intimate as touching. She left. He let her. And that was the sexiest moment in the story. Because he stayed there, whole, available, without trapping her, without begging. And when she came back because she wanted to. Not because the ground was missing beneath her. This is the kind of love that makes me want to write. A look that holds, a silence that heats up, a conscious choice that gives you chills. And just a reminder, I'm human, okay? I revise and build the entire story with the help of AI. Thank you for staying until the end. The next story, it promises even more.